So, you divorced an elite like me and then remarried an unemployed man, huh? My ex-husband Brian's voice echoed throughout the fancy restaurant. Sitting next to him, the woman who was his affair partner back then looked at us, covering her mouth as if trying to hide her amusement. Well, I guess a divorced nurse like you can only marry an unemployed man. Is this your husband? He's quite a plain-looking guy. Perfect for you. Brian said something like that. My current husband stepped forward, shielding me. Please stop. I won't allow you to make fun of Mary any further. Oh, the unemployed husband has appeared. Hey, do you know who I am? I know very well, that's why. At that moment, my husband's words made my despicable ex-husband freeze. My name is Mary. I am 27 years old and I've been married for 2 years. I have been working as a nurse, my dream since I was a child, and my days are busy but fulfilling. Hey Mary, look at this! In the morning, Brian, my husband, called me over with a bundle of papers and a happy expression. What's going on? Wow, that's amazing! It was the company newsletter for the advertising agency where Brian worked. Ranked number 1, Sales Department's Rising Star, Brian. The headline was accompanied by a photo and interview of Brian with a proud smile. I'm in trouble, they featured me again. While saying that, Brian couldn't hide his joy. Brian was an elite, having graduated from a well-known university and working at a major advertising agency. That's amazing, Brian. I'm happy too. Well, as a mere nurse, you can't imagine this glamorous world. As I struggled for words, Brian, tightening his tie, said, I'll be late tonight due to a business dinner. I don't need dinner, see you. Okay, take care. Brian had this side to him. We were introduced by a mutual acquaintance and eventually got married, but after a while, he would sometimes belittle me and my nursing job. At first, he shared household chores with me and spoke kindly, but recently, I'm the only one doing the chores and I catch glimpses of his condescending attitude. When I asked him to help with housework once, he said, I'm an elite ad salesman, you're just a nurse. Even you should know who has it harder. Serve me quietly. When we were dating, Brian was kind and everyone envied us as a couple. It would be a lie to say I didn't feel secure being with an elite. I grew up in a single-parent family and my mother had already passed away, so I wanted to have my own family as soon as possible. I need to have a proper talk with Brian. With that thought, I went to work that day. Good morning, did you sleep well? I'll take your temperature now. Good morning, thanks to you, I slept well. When I spoke to Mr. Green, a patient hospitalized due to injuries from a car accident, he replied calmly. Mr. Green is about 7 or 8 years older than me, but he seems to love playing video games and often plays them in bed. However, he always thanks me when I assist him and speaks politely when we chat, which makes me happy. It feels rewarding when patients thank you for your work. That day, I worked diligently from morning to evening until it was time to finish work. On my way home, I realized that Brian's birthday was coming up soon. Since he said he would be late today, I thought it might be a good idea to choose a gift for him before going home. I might as well dine out alone. With that in mind, I decided to take a train to the city in the opposite direction from usual. I successfully chose Brian's birthday present, had dinner, and was about to head home when I saw a familiar-looking man in a suit. Brian was walking. However, there was a slender woman with long brown hair snuggling up next to him. For some reason, I had a bad feeling. I thought he said he had a work dinner today. With my heart pounding uneasily, I followed the two from a distance. Then, the two of them left intimately, held hands, and went off into an accommodation facility. I felt like everything went dark before my eyes and sat down on the side of the road. It's not true. Brian was cheating on me. Dressing up, coming home late, always fiddling with his cell phone at home. I thought it was all for work, but it wasn't. Brian had betrayed me. I don't know how I managed to get home. I sat alone in the dark living room of my home. Hey Mary, what's the matter? Not even turning on the lights? Brian turned on the living room lights when he came home late. With my head down, I spoke to Brian. Brian, sit down there. What is it? I'm tired and I want to go to bed already. Just sit down. As I glared at Brian, who reluctantly sat down, I confronted him. Brian, you're cheating on me, aren't you? I saw you today. Brian looked surprised for a moment, but then sighed. Is that all? What do you mean, is that all? Yeah, that's right. I have another girl I'm dating. She's a receptionist at work, famous for being cute. Can't help it, can I? I'm popular. What are you saying? As I was astonished by Brian's brazenness, he continued, You should be grateful that I've been with someone like you, who has nothing going for them. Your face is nothing special, you work as a nurse, a lowly job, and you have no parents. How can you keep someone like me, Mary? What? Well, it doesn't matter. I kept you around as a housekeeper, but you're no longer needed. Pack your things and leave. Brian glanced at me, unable to speak from the shock, and went to the bedroom. I couldn't sleep all night and was left devastated, but I still had to go to work. Leaving the house before Brian, I tried to do my usual work despite the struggle. Did something happen? You look pale. Surprised, I looked at Mr. Green holding a game console, staring at my face. I'm fine. It's disgraceful for a nurse to be worried by a patient, haha. Trying to laugh it off, Mr. Green shook his head and said, "You shouldn't say you're a disgraceful nurse, even as a joke. I think I can be discharged today thanks to your help. I can't ask what happened, but you'll be okay. You're someone who deserves happiness." Holding back my tears, I bowed to Mr. Green. "You'll be okay, you deserve happiness." Mr. Green's words gave me encouragement. That day, I packed my things, left the completed divorce papers, and moved out of the house. The next day, Brian called. "I filed the divorce papers." "Understood. Now you're a divorcee with no parents and an ugly nurse. Do your best to be happy. Goodbye." Not wanting to hear Brian's laughing voice any longer, I hung up. And so, our divorce was finalized. For about a year after that, I was even more absorbed in my work than before. After moving, I requested to be transferred to a busy department, which left me no time to feel lonely, and it might have been for the best. On a day off, I went shopping nearby and ran into a familiar face in the park on my way home. "Ah, Mr. Green! Oh, it's been a while. Thanks to you, my health has improved a lot." Sitting on a park bench playing a game, I couldn't help but smile at Mr. Green. We talked for a while. When I told him about finding out about my husband's affair and being encouraged by his words to get a divorce, Mr. Green seemed surprised. "That must have been tough. You did well to get through it." "Thank you. I've been holding on to the words 'I'll be okay' like a charm." On the way home that day, Mr. Green invited me out for dinner. We exchanged contact information, and even though we went home that day, we continued to go on several dates afterward. Eventually, I accepted Mr. Green's, or rather, Sam's proposal to be in a relationship. Sam and I were able to go on dates even during weekdays. In other words, he didn't seem to have a job. Even so, he always treated me to meals, which I initially found quite mysterious. But above all, I was attracted to Sam's personality. He was always relaxed, composed, and polite to everyone, and he treated me with great care. His hobby was, of course, gaming, and although I had never played before, I started to join him. When we played together, Sam was clearly going easy on me, but I appreciated his kindness. A year after we started dating, Sam proposed to me. "I'm not beautiful, and I don't have any parents. Are you sure it's okay?" When I said that, Sam looked a bit troubled. "Mary, you're still hurt from your previous marriage, aren't you? You're a wonderful woman. Let's become a family and live happily together." Hearing those words made me so happy, I decided to remarry. This time, it'll be okay. Being with Sam made me feel so much happier than when I was with Brian. A year passed and Sam and I got married, and our relationship was still going strong. Since it's our wedding anniversary, let's go to a special French restaurant. Sam told me the name of the restaurant with a smile. It was a high-end restaurant even I was familiar with. Is it really okay to go to such an expensive place? It's a special day, of course it is. Thank you. We usually ate at home or went out for Japanese food, which we both loved, so this was a refreshing change. We dressed up to the nines and headed to the restaurant. As we joyfully enjoyed the dishes served, we were having a blissful wedding anniversary when suddenly I heard a familiar voice. "Mary? Hey, is that you, Mary?" I looked up to see the face of Brian, whom I never wanted to see again. Next to Brian was the woman he had cheated on me with, her arm linked to his. "What do you want?" Really? Huh. Brian rudely stared at Sam and me. It seemed Sam had instantly understood the relationship between Brian and me. "You're not supposed to have anything to do with me anymore. Please go away." I said that, but Brian didn't budge. Instead, he started to say something outrageous. "How can someone like you afford to be in such a high-end restaurant?" Sam responded to that. "Today is our wedding anniversary. We can dine wherever we want." Wedding anniversary, huh? So the poor couple splurged and came to a place like this, huh? That's touching. Brian was smirking. The woman who had been Brian's affair partner was also covering her mouth and looking at us as if she couldn't hide her amusement. "After divorcing elite me, you were married a jobless man, huh?" Brian said to me, completely ignoring Sam. "Huh? What's that? Where did you hear that?" "I ran into one of your colleagues and heard it. They said you're going on dates even on weekday afternoons and that they've never seen your partner wearing a suit. Plus, they said he's a gamer boy. Is this the jobless husband? He's a fittingly dull man for you, huh?" Brian continued to mock me, who was too surprised to speak. "Well, a divorced nurse like you can only marry a jobless man, huh? You must be supporting this old man, huh? Good for you." "Hey, stop it. But, a high-end restaurant like this doesn't suit a poor couple like you. You must have saved up all your pennies to come here, but read the atmosphere, you're lowering the tone." Brian still continued to say such things. Brian's abusive words echoed through the high-end restaurant, and before we knew it, we were the center of attention. He had always belittled me, even when we were married, and now he was even mocking my husband, Sam. I won't forgive him, never. I reached my breaking point. As I tried to stand up, Sam stood in front of me as if to shield me. Please stop. I won't allow you to ridicule Mary any further. Then, Brian said, trying to hold back his laughter, oh, the jobless husband has appeared. Even jobless, you'll defend your ugly wife, huh? Watch your mouth. You two are the ones who should read the atmosphere. Why don't you just leave? Then Brian, glaring at Sam, said, don't you dare stand up to an elite like me when you're just a jobless old man. I don't care if you're an elite or whatever, please just leave. Sam was unyielding. Then Brian said in an irritated tone, hey you, don't you know who I am? I'm the #1 salesman at S Advertising and I graduated from W University. Yes, and listen, S Advertising makes TV commercials for K-Foods and M Games. I'm on a completely different level from a jobless nobody like you. You have no right to speak to me. Then Sam paused for a moment and said in a low voice, I know who you are very well. Now, who do you think I am? Brian was momentarily confused. Huh? There's no way I'd know who someone like you is. Then, the woman next to Brian, who had been silent until now, let out a small scream. Wait a minute, this guy, isn't he Sam Green? Huh? Who's Sam Green? The woman hurriedly explained to the puzzled Brian. He's the founder of M Games. He graduated from the American Massachusetts Institute of Technology and became a top figure in the gaming industry within 10 years, a genius engineer and entrepreneur. What? Huh? Brian's face turned from red to blue. Indeed, I am Sam Green, the founder of M Games. I'm now the chairman, having stepped back from day-to-day management, Sam said with a straight face. Yes, Sam was the person who founded the super famous game company M Games. I remember being convinced about his free time on weekdays and his constant gaming when I heard that. Wait a minute. M Games is one of our major clients. Brian, now pale, said this while trembling. His face was covered in cold sweat. That's right, we handle all your TV commercials and magazine ads. The advertising budget must be in the billions, Sam said with a smile. At that moment, Brian and the woman next to him bowed their heads. We're so sorry, please forgive us. We had no idea you were the chairman of M Games, Sam said to flustered Brian, trying to apologize. You're apologizing to the wrong person, aren't you? You should be apologizing to Mary. Brian then turned to me and prostrated himself. The woman next to him looked at Brian in astonishment. Mary, no, Miss Mary, I'm sorry for what happened when we were married and for today. Please forgive me. I almost laughed at Brian's pathetic state but managed to hold it in. Mary, what will you do? Sam asked me in a relaxed tone. No, it's impossible to forgive him normally. Please don't ever show up in front of us again, I said firmly. Sam grinned and gave me a small thumbs up. He then bent down and whispered in Brian's ear. Mary is a perfect wife for me. I'll make her happy from now on, so you should worry about your own neck. The pale and trembling Brian and the woman left with their tails between their legs. Let's continue our meal. I smiled at Sam, who spoke in his usual gentle tone, and we enjoyed the rest of our meal. Half a year later, Sam instructed M Games to stop dealing with S Advertising Agency. He reported the horrible attitude Brian had shown, and Brian was fired to take responsibility. His proud, elite career was probably over now. To make matters worse, the woman who was about to remarry Brian seemed to have given up on him and left him. He is now alone, living in poverty in a shabby apartment, but that's none of our business. As for us, we recently found out I was pregnant. Sam was so happy that he jumped up and down and recently returned to game development after a long absence. He wants to make games that can be played with children. As I watched Sam, I hoped that this peace would last forever.